Well, as I explained on the air, I was sitting in the massive press filing center before the second debate in St. Louis when I spotted Mark McKinnon, who I know. I even remember him from the days when he was a Democrat, but he was the key ad man and message guy for George W. Bush's campaigns and then for John McCain in 2008. So we said hi, and he is now working for this Showtime program called The Circus, which provides a behind-the-scenes look at the campaigns and the media in this crazy 2016 election. He had his camera guy there. He said, can you just sit down and I'll ask you a few questions? And I said, sure, because, you know, it's McKinnon and the circus, and it is a circus. And so Mark then agreed to come on Media Buzz. You may have seen this on Sunday. And because he has been a key Bush and McCain supporter, I talked to him about media bias, among other things, also about whether it's changed his view of the media to now be, in effect, part of the media. I'll get to what he said in a moment, but I want to get to an email first, very critical of McKinnon's remarks, from P.Y. Chang. P.Y. says, the guest on your program, McKinnon, is wrong. He said Republicans should know their place, i.e. being abused all the time, and should just take it. That is why Republicans are being abused all the time. 3, GOP should use its weight and let all people, including media, know that you do that again, you would be punished to no end. Well, first of all, Mr. Chang, Ms. Chang, what do you mean by punished? You know, one of the great things about this country is that we have a First Amendment and we have a free press. Doesn't mean the press is always fair. I've spent a good chunk of my career pointing out lots of instances in which the media are unfair or have conflicts of interest or engage in sensationalism. You know, freedom of the press means the freedom to be wrong. And so who exactly would do the punishing? I don't want the government involved. You can't have some independent commission deciding what's fair game, what is not. We do have libel laws in this country, which Trump has talked about strengthening, by the way, for individual people or groups to file suit if they feel like they have been smeared in a factually inaccurate way. But your other point about McKinnon, you're misconstruing what he said. He didn't say Republicans should just take it, that's just the way it is. He said, and I've heard this from many, many Republican candidates and from many Republican consultants and strategists over the years, that it is their view, and I'm not going to argue with it to a great extent, that the press in general is more sympathetic to Democrats than to Republicans. So if you are going to run for office, you have to deal with that, but you also, it is not, in McKinnon's view, a good idea to just spend a lot of time whining about it. You deal with it like you deal with bad weather. It doesn't mean you accept it. It means you fight back. But you can't be naive going in and thinking that you're going to have an easy ride with the mainstream media. Now, some candidates like John McCain, especially when he ran in 2000, was able to charm the media up until he got the general election nomination in 2008 by providing a lot of access to reporters, and he's just a funny guy who engages in a lot of straight talk. Donald Trump, before he was in a state of all-out war with the media, I mean, can you remember how many times he went on ABC, CBS, NBC, the Sunday shows, Fox News, CNN, MSNBC. He went on everything and made his case, got into fights with the host sometimes, took a lot of negative, harsh, or even unfair questions, but that is part of how he won the nomination. He's not doing as much of it now. That's hardly surprising in the final weeks of the campaign. He seems to be limiting his appearances mainly to certain Fox News shows. He did talk to me 2 or 3 weeks ago. So McKinnon was basically saying, you know, wake up and smell the coffee. This is part we have to deal with. And by the way, George W. Bush won 2 elections. Ronald Reagan won 2 elections. I don't think George H.W. Bush won 1 election. His slogan was later, annoy the media. I don't think any of them really had the media on their side, and they won anyway, which goes to show you that McKinnon is right. You can battle the press. The press doesn't get to dictate the outcomes. We're just not that powerful. And going in, Donald Trump and any other Republican candidate for any kind of office should know what they're dealing with. I don't subscribe to the view that every single journalist is biased against the GOP, but there's enough of it that you got to factor it in if you're running on the GOP side.